Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and today I am doing the first showcase of my Wind Serpent Strike and Flicker Strike build. I'm doing the first one and I'm not going to put a path of building yet because it's still very in progress. I have to change things, but we are using a mechanic that not many people actually use. We are using the weapon skill sets. One thing that you may want to know is that you can't use those with keystones. So if you want a keystone that you need to use, you have to put it outside of the weapon points. Like you can see here, this have a different color, and this here also have a different color because we are going to be using a spear and also a quarter staff. The quarter staff for flicker strike, I have to put the second socket in there and also other things. But if you want to know what do you want in a staff for Flicker Strike, you can check my previous content. I'm just going to explain it very fast. As much physical damage as possible. Percentage elemental is not bad, but it's not huge. Critical strike chance, critical strike multiplier, and level 2 melee gems. I don't have that in this stuff, but this is something I dropped. And maybe eventually I can recombine a high phase and level 2 melee things. Now, as for other things in the spear, you kind of want the same. This spear is super underpowered, kind of, but also one thing to be very careful about is the sea glass spear is the base that you want because it has 10% critical strike chance for the Wind Serpent's Fury, and I'm also using other attacks as filler right now, but they are not super important and they may be changed later. One thing that we will be using for both of these, of course, is the Infernal Cry. Eventually, I will get some entrance charges too, so I can get more than one empower, and where I can empower Wind Serpent's Fury and also Flicker Strike. But to clear, we are mainly using Whirling Strike and Twisters. Twisters also break armor and explode armor and also have extra maximum physical hit damage. They also act as kind of a refresher because I have some mana leech and life leech. For some reason I rolled some life leech both times, but this is not needed. I also get an extra ring because I'm Ritualist, but I think the Amazon is way stronger right now until I get good rings and neck and I get my ingenuity. So this is kind of a late game thing. Now, of course, the other things can also change, but I may change the Twister and Whirling Slash for other things. And also I want to use Charge Infusion. So I have to make room for this. This is going to be very good. Right now we are using power charges and frenzy charges. If you want to see my tree, more or less it's like this. We get all of the critical strike nodes possible. And then we are going to use a frenzy charges to get our attacks, to get charge infusion. And we are also going power charges because we are going to use the power threats. I have to get socket in there and put it instead of my wonder traps. They were very good to level, but this is good because we are going to have 7 of these power charges, giving us a huge deal, a critical strike multiplier. And another thing, if you haven't seen, you can use charge staff and it will change to the other weapon, and then you change to your main one and the buff will stay. You just won't see the timer. Now you will be able to use Flicker Strike. I'm not going to explain a lot more. We have a Storm Lance also with the Scatter Shot, Bolt, and Primal Armament. This helps us to do a lot of critical strikes. Eventually, I'm going to get some quality on there and put the limit so we can just slam 5 spears on the ground. We may use 2 frenzies, but that's fine. Combat Frenzy makes it when I pin, freeze, or electrocute, get frenzy charge. Of course, right now I'm getting frenzy charges from pinning with Whirling Slash. Have have pin and lockdown to get extra power. And remember, you get the normal hits, and then you also can go outside. Also, when we use a frenzy charge with the Stormlands, we create some shock ground, making our twisters also stronger. I'm not freezing or electrocuting right now anywhere, but you can put electrocute on Stormlands and do it like that if you want. Or in my case, electrocute on charge stuff. I have more duration and things like that. I'm not putting more things because right now I'm going to be honest, I still in the infancy stages of this build. Of course, I'm going to show you a little bit which supports I'm using in Wind Serpent one. Overextend for more critical strike multiplier, twofold, 20% chance to throw the double the amount of snakes. And I also have a lot of critical strike from exist and pinpoint critical. Eventually, with the 10% more crit from charge infusion, a little bit more gear, I'm going to cap crit. Maybe I can drop the exist and put another one, but pinpoint critical is very strong on this. Now for flicker strike we have perpetual charge, making a 35% chance to not consume. This stacks with the quality itself, because remember in my other build we did use this. So a total of 55% chance of not consuming. Also have concentrated effect and blind sight. Blind sight, enemies are always blind from me using Whirlwind Flash, and I also have 10% chance to blind them from the tree. Of course, Subterfuge Mask very good for defensive situations, but the tree is not 100% done. As you might expect, I'm going to change some things. So the points that we use, of course, for the first weapon set, as you can see, are we finish the traveling here with Dance with Death. I'm not using a buckler because of that. But when you have a lot more gear and a lot more speed, you can drop this and use a buckler with good stats. Or the one that when you parry, you put critical weakness. It's very good. We're close to Falcon Dive and can maybe get some accuracy stacking, but I'm not keen on that because it only gives us attack speed instead of with Amazon you get extra power too. And of course you get the points here from spears. Same thing with quarterstaffs. You get the same thing here. Then I have 8 points in each. You want to see how you want to know how many they are. These are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points here, and here the same. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know how to count, sorry. And I'm getting frenzies, and then eventually I'm also going to get power charges. So get these 2 extra power charges, this extra power charge, and maybe also this extra power charge. While we have 7 power charges or 8 power charges, we're going to have a huge deal of critical strike multiplier. Remember, you can also corrupt the power threats to get 15% per power charge instead of 12. That is also a very strong thing. And to get power charges right now, I'm using Bolt's Protector Ironclad vestments. The idea eventually is to use Hate Forge with a lot of with attack speed and with things like this time lost jewel, giving me 1 rage on melee hit with any of these things. Getting a large one is better than a medium, but a light one right now is like 5 divines, and this one was 4 exalteds. I kind of got this cheap, and that way you can get here, and all the things. The only things that I have seen that are quite strong are rage on melee hit, and also effect of Warcries, because Infernal Cry gives us a huge deal of damage, and we also get 30% more damage and 15% more damage, and put a strike. And I'm also eventually going to also put the extra rage. Then cast on crit gives us our frenzies sometimes in bosses too, from making critical strikes. So the more critical strikes we do, it's the better. I also have some ball lining. Maybe we can also put how to say it, the other thing on the ground, and profusion to get more charges, because right now we are not pinning bosses that much or freezing. Remember, we don't have the bell, and because the fillers that we are going to use are spear ones instead of quarter staff ones. You can of course use things like ice strike and bell instead of twister and whirling slash, but right now my spear is way stronger than my quarter staff, and it's also faster, so this helps a lot. So that is everything. The first thing that you might see is that you die a lot because we don't have really good defenses, but eventually I want to get some evasion and energy shield thingies over here, and maybe over here, and also get the chaos damage. We are going to do a lot of chaos damage in the future because I also want to get an against the darkness here with all of these points and some volatility. Super cool. That is of course a plan for the future, but right now, if I didn't manage to bore you and you want to see some gameplay, let's check some random map and hope I don't die. I'm not super ahead on places. I'm just doing tier 7s or some things like that. And I'm usually doing this with 2 or 3 mods. Let's do this with 2 mods. So it's super safe. And I just want to traverse to the net corruption zone. Do remember that this build is super not, let's say, strong right now. I haven't even done my first, let's say, the labyrinth on, that gives me the 6 points. Also, the more power charges we have, and the more things that we can do in other places. Now, of course, as you might expect, Stormlance is a very strong ability. That's usually what we can do to charge, but also Wind Serpent Strike helps us kill rares. Now, of course, we don't have a lot of evasion and things like that, so charges and things are very dangerous to us. Do be aware that I also haven't spent a lot of currency on this build right now. I've spent like 20 exalted or something like that. But also I don't have many problems with bosses. Sadly, I can't showcase a boss, but I'm going to likely do a lot of clips. There will be, of course, clips that show the build being strong. But sometimes you don't get crits with Wind Temperature Strike or Flicker, and that is a little bit annoying, as you might expect. Also, I don't have a lot of attack speed. One thing that you also can get if you are stronger financially, you can get the serpent egg. It's like 2 divines. It's very pricey for me. And I also have another trick that I'm going to show you, but that's going to be in a short. And that is everything. I hope you enjoyed. It's a first iteration of things. I'm literally in the like 4th or 5th day actually playing, because I can't play that much in between the week. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as my Flicker Strike one. Have a nice day, and I will see you on the next video.